Hello everyone. Welcome back to Star Wars Ships, drawing Star Wars ships and vehicles. This is week 3. We are actually going to be doing the Battle of Endor today and picking 2 ships from the Return of the Jedi, the Battle of Endor. So today we're going to start with a vehicle like we usually do. This one might actually be a breath of fresh air. It's a little less complicated than some of the larger ships that we have done. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that. And I'm going to add some color to this one as well, which will be in the next video with the shading, because I just feel like it'd be a simple one to add color to and give it a little more character. So let's go ahead and get started and do our screen share like we usually do to look at this thing. Okay, so this is a 3D rendering of the speeder bike that we're drawing today. And this is the one that they used on Endor that you saw Luke and Leia riding, and then that the stormtroopers were riding during the battle at the end with the Ewoks and such. So look at the shape. Just take a moment to take it in here. So we've got that. I'm going to be using just a rectangle shape for this one. Just keeping it simple. Just a rectangle. So again, this rectangle visually helps me to understand that this piece is not as complicated as it looks. So I've never described it this way in my videos yet, but it's almost like chipping out a piece of marble. Okay, you've got a giant block of marble and you're chipping away at it like Michelangelo to find the piece that's inside. So that's what we're going to be working on. I even want to perhaps, we might draw that next, but the shadow underneath, because I think that's important too, to show that this thing is floating. Not sure how, but it is. I don't know the science behind it. Let's go ahead and get started. You can chop this into smaller pieces if you want to. I can't draw a straight line on the computer to save my life, but you can drop this into, you know, other pieces. Those are not even, but if you want to chop it evenly into fourths and see how everything falls, that's fine. I'm going to try to eye it, but please feel free to do a graph if you want to, if that's easier for you. So I'm going to challenge myself, being week 3, and I'm going to try to eye this. So, okay, stop the screen, and I will pin the drawing. Okay, so same things I usually have: ruler, sharpener, pencil, paper. I think on this one, since my pencils are getting quite short, this one's a little short, and then this one is getting quite short. So I'm just going to use these for my shading pencils now, since I feel like having a little more balance when I'm drawing is important for me. So there we go. So having a little more balance for me is easier, whereas these, there's not too much balance at all anymore. So I'm just going to use these as my shaders since they are getting quite small. And I'll start a new one here. This pencil sharpener that comes with Blackwing, comes with these Blackwing pencils, has one side that's just for the big shaping. So you do that a little bit until, you know, the lead starts to come out. And then you can start to do the tip shading. So this is the bulk shading, And then the other hole is for the tip. So once I get it to where it fits, so one more bulk one, see how it's kind of wonky? Then you put it through the tip, cha-chang, right there. Okay. New pencil, brand new eraser, brand new paper, brand new drawing. Let's go. So let me pull that reference photo back up here. So first I'm going to make my rectangle. I'm going to measure it on my screen here just to get what the proportions on the screen are. So I've got about 8 inches by, it's about an 8 by 3. I think I can draw that on here. Let's do an 8 by 3. So straight across, it's going to be my 8. I'm going to line that up nicely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then coming down for 3. I'm doing this very lightly because I may not be making that straight. Coming down for 3. Let's see how close I got that. Oh my gosh, it is spot on, guys. What a day. Okay. I've got a 3 by 8 rectangle here. Got a lot of space on the bottom. So this one isn't going to be right in the middle, but that's all right. So, and my line isn't exactly straight. That doesn't matter. This is going to be erased. Okay. Let's get to this drawing here. I'm using one screen, so I need to make sure. Get it off there. Okay. I'm looking at this picture right now. Just to see where everything falls. So you remember how I said this last time? We look for patterns. So I'm looking at the drawing here. I'm trying to see where the middle is. So I have my rectangle, and now I'm going to draw a line right down the middle. And I think that's where I'm going to start. Okay. And this rectangle helps me see where that middle is. So let me share this one more time. See how I drew this here. Okay, so I drew my rectangle, and I just pulled up the picture in my picture program, and I'm able to just draw this like this. I think what I'm also going to do is draw that line about right here for the middle of this part. Oops. It's very forgiving. And then find the middle here. I'm not worried about this being perfect, but I am going to chop it into fourths because that's going to make it a little bit easier. Once I do that, I can see that this first part right here is completely inside of this half quadrant here. I wasn't going to graph it, but I decided not to. So this is what my graph looks like. Those of you who are printing these off, you can just draw these with a ruler. You don't have to. Obviously, you can eye this. I just want my proportions to be right because it'd be really easy to make these things longer than they need to be or shorter to make it kind of squished. So I don't want to stretch it and I don't want to squish it. I love it exactly how it looks. Bless me. All right. That's what mine looks like. So that's what I'm looking at during this this drawing today. So I've already got my rectangle. So now I'm going to find my middle by measuring. I'm actually going to straighten out this line, this wonky line here. My middle is going to be 4 inches. 4 inches on the bottom. Okay, so there's the middle. These are very light lines, guys. Very light. Just so you know where it's at. Now I'm going to find halfway here, which is going to be 1.5, because half of 3 is 1.5. So I've got half there, half up here. Holy cow, I didn't measure that right at all. Thought I was right on. I wasn't. Sorry, I'm just fixing a line here because I cannot measure things. I'm sure all you perfectionists out there right now are jumping for joy because it probably looked a little off. A little bit of a straighter line there. Pitiful. That's what it is. Okay. 1.5. There. Awesome. So we've got our 2 1.5s. Then coming across. My pencil is super sharp, so I need to get this right on it. Okay. So I've got my vertical, my horizontal. Now I'm going to find the happy medium in here, which is 2 inches. Just setting up the graph. Like I said, I was going to try to do it not a graph, but my perfectionism wouldn't let me do that today. I find peace in the control. I don't usually find peace in trying to freehand things. It makes me more stressed. Some people like that sort of thing. Feel more free when they do it that way. I feel more constrained when I have to rely on my own wiles to make sure lines are straight. So I find peace in using a ruler when I can. This has been a stressful weekend. We had some family in for a holiday. Good stress. Even good stress is stress. So, but we went to the zoo with the kids, you know, and watching toddlers all day. You know, it's nice to be able to have something I can control. And drawing is a place where I can get those wiggles out for that control. Okay, so here's our graph. I drew my lines a little dark so you guys can see. Okay, since I know that this is right where it needs to be, I want to go ahead and start in the middle. So if I look at my reference, which is exactly the same size as what I'm drawing right now, I'm going to go for it. I know that that shape is there, coming out to about there, and it's coming down right inside here. Light lines. Okay, I have my first shape. It's not a perfect shape, but it is here. It is on paper. And I'm going to fix that as I go. Get rid of that sharp tip there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and come to the top and just follow that, the perimeter of this shape all the way through. I actually think I came in too far, so it's probably actually about there. Hold my breath again. Don't hold your breath. Straighten out. Come down. I'm just going to bring it all the way down. Then add the details. So there's a seat right here. It's an odd shaped thing. I might not be doing as much talking today because my voice is going. When you take children to the zoo, guys, small children, the zoo is very loud. You do a lot of yelling. Get back here. Don't touch that. Oh, seriously though. The flamingos, okay? The flamingos were in this electric fence, and the electricity was on the outside of the fence. It was probably more so to keep predators away from the flamingos. But this kid, this like 2-year-old or 3-year-old, got through or squeezed through the barrier and grabbed on to that electric fence. And I was like, oh my gosh. I don't think his parents saw that he grabbed onto that fence, and they were like, does your hand hurt? And I'm like, yeah, his hand hurts. Good grief. It's a good thing it was flamingos and not like the rhinoceros fence or something. It was probably high voltage. Anyway, it was a little terrifying for us mothers. I don't think anybody else saw, but I was like, oh my gosh. Interesting story. You guys are like, I don't care. I'm sure none of you are mothers. Okay. Just drawing some details back here on the tail. Just following the lines, shapes and lines. My mantra, as you know. Okay. Engine here. Got our engine right underneath this. Actually going into this a little bit so it's folding underneath. What I'm doing right now is what we've done on every single one and just contouring the shapes. Contour is the outside of these shapes. Tedious, you say? Why, yes. Yes, it is. When you're going for precision, precision is tedious. Part of the process. I wonder if you guys slow these down or if you just go for it. That's something I was wondering the other day. Do you find yourselves slowing the videos down to watch them? Or do you just do it at the same speed? One thing I noticed with my live classes that I do in the summer, which are all up for 2021 when I'm recording this video, one thing I noticed as far as reviews was I went a little too fast, and I understand that. It's so hard when you have live classes because you have a time limit. If I could sit here and draw with you all for 4 hours, I would totally do it, but when you have live classes, you want to stop and let everyone show their work, and there's just honestly not enough time to slow down. So I try to when I can, but sometimes you just can't slow down. So the good thing about a flex class is y'all are able to watch a pre-recorded video, slow it down if you need to, and go back and watch it again. The other ones are recorded too, but you have to weed through, you know, when there's chit chat and all kinds of things like that. So that's one of the reasons I prefer to record flex classes, just because I feel like, you know, for art especially. I mean, there are times, yeah, when you want direct one-on-one live instruction, that's awesome, but it's difficult in a big class to do that. So I do like to teach it in this format where you guys can, because you can always chat me if you have a question. We could always do a one-on-one video. I'm not sure if you guys know that. That's something that I could schedule. Where does this connect? What are we going to put in here? If you're looking at the picture, that's where everything sticks out. So we've got our little engine here coming out underneath of the seat. And well, I might as well draw the little foot coming out too. So it's just looking at my graph. It's about right here. Coming out on second little coil here. Done with this because I only needed this line for the foot. So I'm going to take that out of there. There are some foot pedal wires that are all over the place. Going into the engine. So some of this engine power is directed by the tip. Some is directed by the handles. All right. Now, let's move into this section. and get what's going on in here. So this is coming down. Right there. So there's like this very light angle coming down. It's coming to there and then popping down to hold in all that other stuff. None of this is super sharp, so I'm rounding off if I make any points. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. It's kind of weird. It'll get there. It just kind of shows you all the weird shapes that go into these pieces here. Little controls. The shading is going to define a lot of this. This is where we're going to attach the handles, which are going to come up right in between this little red button here and these little doohickeys. Sure. Okay. The other one. So these are kind of even at an angle here. We'll define these a little bit more once we do the shading, but remember, basic shapes. Just get the basics in here. Okay, got some handlebars. Come back here and find this just a little bit more. There we go. Erase all these squiggly lines. All right. Let's move on. Okay. I want to draw the nose before I do the lines, because that's going to help me make the lines straight. If I draw the lines now and they're not straight, it's going to make the nose off. So I want to go ahead and do the nose first. And looking at my piece here, seeing what the angle is even with. Okay, so it's even with the back point here. So it's about that far down. So if I draw my angle there, so if you see what I did, I angled it to the back. I measured it on my graph of what the angle was of this nose. It's equal to that. So that's where I'm going to go with it. So, and it is chopping right down the middle of this square. So it should be about right there. Okay. See, there's some eyeing to this, but for the most part, I do like to measure. It's one wing. The next wing. Practice that sightseeing. So in music, they call it sight reading. So I guess it would kind of be sight reading here as well, where you can look at something and just draw it from looking at it without having to fully measure every tiny little thing. So we're sight reading our sketching here. Looking at our shapes more than we're looking at the paper. Okay, stick out these. Oh wait, this actually, oh no, it doesn't, that's right. That's correct. Okay, so, but the little blade sticks out, comes down a little bit. It's going to angle its way all the way down to about there. Drew 3 lines so I could look at it and look at the drawing. And then we're going to come ahead. It might be a little too fat. We might have to bring it in a little bit. Adjusting where it needs adjustment. Okay. The other blade is coming out right under this little bobby, pointing right there, coming straight back under that point. Wow, I think we got it. Whew. Everything fell where it was supposed to fall, so I'm going to call that getting it. Phone's on low battery mode. Plug that in. Okay, let's keep going. We're almost there. So now, we need to connect these two up together. Before I do that though, let me do the two little tiny red lines. And I know this is smaller than the other drawings I've done, so two little circles there. Just so we can add the colors in later. So if I measure, let me see if this line goes all the way through. And it does, okay. So the line that's connected to under this, oh, sorry. The line that's connecting this little tiny thing to this ship goes through here. So I'm just figuring out where it falls up here, looking at my picture. It's going to fall a little past it. Just a little past it. So very lightly draw that in there. Okay. Then there's another one on the underside. Okay. Now that is a little wider than what I drew it. It's because my pencil's getting a little dull. So I'm going to try that again. Just a little bit wider. Okay. I'm not worried about that line because that is actually going to be shaded anyway. So I don't have to erase on the inside. The other line is coming to this underside here. Coming out about right there. And what is that connecting to? It's finding its way right under these red dots here. So right under these red dots, the red dots being those. So the top part is coming under. And if you need to sharpen your pencil, which I do, go ahead and do it because I need a sharp point to get this where I want it to go. Okay. All right, so we're connected up now. There's a lot more gobbledygook in here, so we'll add those details as well. Got the same little patterns on both of these. I'm going to draw those on. And whatever I do on this side, also going to do on this side. See, so they're the same. This looks like it might be a little blast. Is the blaster here or is it here? I'm not sure. I need to watch these movies again. It's a good excuse to do a vehicles class. Good excuse to watch Star Wars movie. Okay. Fixing some angles. We're going to have some darkest darks in there. Something coming out right here. Coming crossed right here. Erase some of these graph lines before I get too deep in here. Okay. I'm not going to worry about the scuff marks or scratch marks right now. Ruin that. Okay. This gun needs to be going in the same direction as everything else. Okay. Some wires connecting things up. Okay. Shading is going to make that really congested center there make more sense. But it doesn't make a lot of sense right now, so when we get to the shading, it will make a lot more sense. Okay, so now we just need this little exhaust pipe underneath here. We've got a little circular oval coming out into a cylinder cup type shape. That's connecting underneath. A lot of little connections here. And then that's going to connect to our engine. By some random discus type things. And some wires. Okay. All right. Well, I think we have the basic drawing down now. Okay. Basic drawing. When we do the shading next, that's going to really show this guy for what he is. So we're done with this video. On to the next.